Welcome to Techstination. Joining us is Rick Sammon, author, photographer, educator, a lot of titles. I could say musician too. Thanks for joining us again, Rick.
Well, thank you so much for having me. You're too kind. I love being on your show.
Terrific. Well, you've taken us on so many journeys, so many places with your photographs over the many years. And now you're taking us on a different type of journey with a new book called Phototherapy, Motivation, and Wisdom, Discovering the Power of Pictures. Tell us your thought process behind doing this book and what people are going to find there.
Well, well, it's my 40th book, and a couple of things. I figure people don't need any people don't need to see any more Rick Sammon pictures. Although I have plenty of new ones from Antarctica. I just came back from China. But I thought it'd be interesting to do an all text, only text book. And because I didn't want people to get distracted by my pictures, because if they see one of my pictures, they could like it or not like it, or they see a sunset, whatever. So I've been doing this for a long time, and I realized that, a new tripod, a new lens, a new camera can make you take better pictures, but it can't always make you necessarily make you a better photographer. So that's what this book is about. It's really about how to get motivated and the theory behind photography and why we see colors and how we see colors and how we see light and how we get inspired and motivated. That's what this book is really all about. So on my workshops, at the end, I ask people, and sometimes they get teary-eyed because I know the question is so important. I say, what does your photography mean to you? And a lot of people are quiet for a while, and they say, stuff like it saved my life. I'd be nothing without it. It's a creative outlet. So that was one of the first chapters, and that led to another chapter. And about halfway through the book, I thought I was done, Fred. I had 20,000 words, and the book wound up being 35,000 words, 30,000 of which are my own, and I had about 5,000 words from some of the best photographers on the planet helping me.
Really wonderful, Rick, and so inspiring. But the thing is, with this book, you go into so much more than the technical aspects. Uh, it's not about operating your camera so much, or even the settings on a camera.
No.
It's more about the settings in yourself.
Well, that's a great way to put it. And maybe if I do a phototherapy, motivation, and wisdom 2.0, I could use that in the subtitle. But it's true. I talk about creating your own reality, and that's what we can do with our photography. We can create our own reality, in Photoshop and Lightroom, and simply by cropping. Like if you came to my house and took a headshot of me in my office against a white wall, that picture could be taken anywhere in the world. But if you shot it with the fisheye lens and showed my guitars and my computers and posters and all my other stuff, all my Diet Coke cans, it would tell a different story. So with our pictures, we can create, and we are creating our own reality simply by choosing what we want to photograph. So I talk about that. I also talk about, how learning is health. That's a Buddhist expression. Learning is health. And when we stop learning, we stop experimenting, we're done. One of the quotes I have in my book, and I have a lot of quotes, it says, when you're through changing, you're through. So we have to keep changing. And I really had I would say out of my 40 books, this book, I hope when I'm gone, people say this was my most important book. Speaking of that, here's a joke. They say a writer lives forever, right? So one of the good things about a writer living forever is you can talk to people when you're dead.
So true.
Right? Or with your podcast, people can listen to you when you're dead. So how cool is that?
I guess it's cool.
Yeah.
Meditation you mentioned Buddhism, but meditation seems to have played quite a role in your journey here.
Well, it plays a role. I have My friend Trey Ratcliffe wrote the foreword. My friend Scott Bourne wrote the intro. And right up front after that, a preface, my friend Linda Marshall wrote a thing on meditation because she teaches meditation. And when she told me that, I said, I'm too busy to meditate. I can't. I'm too hyper to meditate. I'm doing too many things. And she said, well, Rick, when you're playing your guitar, because she knows I'm a musician, when you're playing guitar, you're meditating because you're not thinking about anything else. When you're cutting the lawn, which I love to do, I'm meditating. So meditating doesn't mean sitting, with your legs crossed on a soft carpet with the music playing in the background, going om. It's really getting in touch with, one thing, and that's what photography is for so many people. They go out and they're so focused on capturing that landscape or capturing that expression on the person's face or capturing the beauty of nature or the capturing blue ice in Antarctica where I go every year. So it's if photography is a form of meditation, which I think is really cool and it also can improve a sense of well-being. There's studies about all this. So photography, I think, is one of the few things out there, like music, that can really help us. It can help us become a better person, and that's one thing I talk about in this book. I think I have a chapter in there on emotional intelligence for photographers. You know the book by Daniel Goleman, I'm sure, Emotional Intelligence. Then he did a follow-up. Well, I have a whole chapter on there, emotional intelligence for photographers, and if we're aware of all the stuff that's going on around us, if we have emotional intelligence on how our mood, our feeling, our body language affects the people we're photographing, this is just so important. And I think having that emotional intelligence can make us a better person and a more likable person.
One of the things that I found interesting, and there are so many about things in this book that are just fascinating and so much to learn, is that with a digital camera, most of us have a tendency to just shoot, shoot, shoot. There's no film. It's not going to run out unless your memory card gets full. And you're telling us that's not necessarily the best idea.
Well, I have, Fred, what I call my one picture promise. And my one picture promise is this, that if someone's in a situation and if they say to themselves, if I could only take one picture, what would that one picture be? I promise the people they'll get a higher percentage of creative pictures, a higher percentage of more interesting pictures, and they'll spend less time going through like a million pictures. I did a trip to Africa once, and someone there had what I call OCD, an obsessive clicking disorder, and they just click away. They're not thinking. Ansel Adams, one of the most famous photographers, said, and I have lots of quotes in the book. He said, the most important accessory you have is the 12 inches behind the lens, meaning your brain. And this spray and pray approach, just shooting everything, drives me crazy because people are not really thinking.
One of the things that I learned from your book, maybe I should have known before, was that Ansel Adams was a musician as well.
Oh yeah, he played the piano, and what I think he said something to the effect of like the print is the. He compared music to photography a lot. He said something to the effect of, I think the picture is the composition and the print is the arrangement, or something like that, meaning that they go together. So the picture is just the starting point. And the same thing today. You shoot a raw file, and then the real fun happens, not the real fun, more fun happens in the processing. So I have a chapter in there on the therapeutic, actually chapter 12, the therapeutic process of image processing, where again, that's a form of meditation. You're getting into this so deeply. I don't think I've ever been as excited about one of my books as this pictureless book. The only pictures in the book are the pictures on the front cover and the back cover.
Well, Tell me, I mean, talk about image processing. What is your message to the photographers, maybe the old time purists, perhaps, who say that that's not real photography, or however they want to phrase it, that it's the image that you take when you
Yep.
open the shutter.
Yep. Well, chapter 19 is called Some Thoughts on Being a Purist. And this is what I say when people say they're a purist. I say, if you're a purist, never make a black and white print like Ansel Adams or Yosef Karsh of Ottawa. And we could go down the list. Never use a fisheye lens. Definitely never use a telephoto lens to photograph an animal in Africa, because you're tricking the person into looking at the picture that you're closer than you are. You're tricking the person thinking that, oh, the background's out of focus, that you're seeing the world in a special way. I say, never never use any other lens than a 45 millimeter lens, which is about what we're seeing. I say never use HDR. Never shoot a panorama, right? Because we don't see the world as a panorama. And and then I end up by saying, who's your favorite guitar player? And people usually say Eric Clapton or Santana, electric guitar player. And I say, well, if you're a purist, listen to them without their guitars plugged in, right? I mean, it's going to sound like nothing. It's actually going to sound like, well, it may not sound like nothing if Santana or Clapton's playing, but it's not going to have, Santana's not going to be able to hold that note for as long, and Clapton's not going to get the feeling out of the note. So this whole thing about being a purist is is BS, because you crop a picture, then you're changing reality.
Debate closed.
Yes.
What is it about Rick Sammon that has made you want to share so much, not just of your skills, but in this book especially, so much of yourself?
My main goal in life, I'm going to be 70 next year. My son's 28. My main goal in life is to have my son be proud of me. And that is my main goal, and it's my main goal since he was born when I was 41. We had him late. So I would say everything I do, or almost everything I do, I try saying, is my son going to be proud of me? And, he writes all these PhD, he's getting his PhD in finance, and he's writing all these papers and stuff like this. I'm just a photographer. And
just a photographer.
I hope what I do makes them proud. And that's one thing. Also, I love helping people. I love teaching people. There's an expression, we are a part of everyone we meet. And this is really true, especially for teachers like me. So, like I was joking around before, when I'm not around anymore, someone may remember, one of my favorite expressions when they're photographing people, which is the camera looks both ways. In picturing the subject, we're also picturing a part of ourselves, meaning the mood, the feeling, the emotion, the energy, the body language, all the stuff that we project is reflected in our subject. So people might say, 50 years from now, you know what, I got that Rick Sammon. He that guy was kind of cool. He's a part of me. So I love that expression. It's not a photo expression, but it is a great expression. We are a part of everyone we meet. And I think if we remember that, which I talk about in the book, we will become better people, because who wants to be remembered? Well, I won't use the word, but who wants to be remembered as a bad person?
That's beautiful. But so much of this industry, like other industries as well, seems to be competitive. But your focus in the book and in life seems to be to have great relationships with other photographers, with with your students, and the competitive nature of this. People entering contests and buying the newest camera when it comes out this week. That seems to evaporate.
For me?
For you and your message to even
Yeah.
your students and readers.
Yeah, well, the thing is this is going to sound egotistical until I explain it, but basically, I have no competition. So that sounds really egotistical until I say, every photographer I know has no competition. Joe McNally, Jay Maisel, Scott Kelby, Richard Burnaby, uh, Ron Clifford. I could go down the list of 50
Yeah,
great
that's dangerous.
photographers.
You're going to leave somebody out.
I know. That's why I have to go. Uh, well, yeah, I know someone's going to be mad. But anyway, none of us have competition because we're all individuals, and someone's going to come on like one of my workshops because they think I'm fun, right? Actually, I was giving a presentation recently, and someone said afterwards, "I didn't know you were funny. I want to go on one of your workshops." So people are drawn to individuals that they like. So a photojournalist might be doing a trip to India and to photograph maybe some of the poverty there. They're going to be drawn to that person, or Scott Kelby. If they want to learn Lightroom or Photoshop from one of the best people on the planet, they're going to go on his workshops. So I think that if we are ourselves, if we're genuine, and that comes through in our work, then people will come to us because holding this stuff close to you, everyone knows what I know. Everyone knows what everyone else knows. Exposure triangle, what lens to use, whatever. But I think if we're ourselves, that's why people will come to us. And I think it's the same with chefs. Look at all the chefs. I watch Guy Fieri. I watch all these guys on TV, and they all basically know the same thing, but they have a different style. So I would say they have no competition.
The book again is Phototherapy, Motivation, and Wisdom, Discovering the Power of Pictures. Get it, read it. You'll find it on Amazon. Read it on a Kindle, buy the paperback, whatever. Just get hold of it. Rick Sammon, thank you for taking the time with us.
Well, thank you, my friend. It's always a lot of fun.
Cooking with the Power of the Sun. Hi, I'm Fred Fishkin, here to tell you about the latest innovation from my friend Patrick Sherwin and his great team at GoSun Stove. The GoSun Fusion has arrived using the company's tried and true reflectors and a solar vacuum tube to get you cooking without the mess of charcoal, heavy propane tanks, or smoke. A really bright idea. And with an optional solar panel and battery storage and the ability to plug in at home or on the road, you really can use the GoSun Fusion to cook anytime and anywhere, day or night, rain or shine. I love what Patrick and his team are doing, and so will you. Want to learn more? Head to gosun.co to check out all of the company's products and innovations, and use the code TEXTINATION to save 10%. That's gosun.co.